En el otro. Són fragments de Carmen, probablement una de les obres més conegudes, més populars.
Welcome one and all to my funemployed in Barcelona era. Ojalá, I'm starting a job in autumn. Until then, we're just hanging out. Part of the context of my fun employment is that I have been extremely sick, well, for like a decade, but more specifically and acutely for the last year. Fergus fun employed summer in Barcelona. It's going to have many elements to it. One of them being in the gym, trying to transform my body into a whole other kind of body so that my lungs work. That's not a very sexy topic, but it's gonna be part of this. And the other goals I have for the next 2-ish months is to just rebrand my entire life. No big deal. We're just going to become able-bodied and also change everything else about ourselves. The main thing is I'm trying to learn Spanish and become like fluent. I'm currently living in a country where there are 2 languages that are used in day-to-day life, neither of which I speak comfortably. I speak Spanish and I speak some Catalan. I am conversational in Spanish, and in Catalan I can order a coffee and ask about your pets. In 3 past tenses though, I can ask you about your dead pets. I guess when I start work in autumn, I will have less time to sit around studying my notes and my grammar. So I would like to be completely fluent in Spanish and fluent-ish or conversational in Catalan by then. I have no idea how to present this. Everything in my life is such a mess. I've been living for the last 3 months in my friend's flat, and I moved back to this flat last week, so I'm sort of beginning to have space to imagine my life going forward. I bought a mirror. I've just been setting myself up and getting very excited about all my little routines and everything. Last week there was like a gap between when I had to move out of the place I was staying and when I got to move in here, and I ended up spending a week with 2 friends in their gorgeous enormous house. I've been going through a breakup. I moved out to break up, you know. And I stayed with my friends for a few months. And now I'm back here alone. I'm allowed to talk about this. She's given me permission to talk about it. She actually wants me to talk about it. She thought it was kind of surreal that I wasn't. I was staying with my friends in a neighborhood that had nothing to do with my life before. It's a very Catalan neighborhood, kind of outside the city. And I just got back and it's the beginning of July and it feels and sounds like when you're in a city in Southern Europe in summer. It smells and feels like summer holiday, and it's about to rain. It's been a heat wave the past 2 weeks, but right now it's grey outside and it's kind of tense. In this apartment, it feels and smells and sounds, just even the silence of it, the oldness of the building, it's so... And it's funny because I've been living alone the past 3 months, but it was like, whatever, here I am in a brand new location. And now I'm alone in an apartment where I really loved someone. It's different. It's a different feeling. But also it's July and I'm in Barcelona and it sounds like this. And it's hot. And the fan's spinning. And last July I was in Barcelona and it was hot and I was not leaving the house and I was kind of almost half dying of pneumonia. And this feeling is hell. And I'm so heartbroken, and also this is going to be really good as well. I'm having that feeling, that stupid feeling that movies are about. I'm, under Tuscan sun. I'm like, oh god, like this feeling, this sound, this apartment, this city, this is like what I want. This is what I've always wanted. To be strong, to be independent, to be doing it, to be learning the languages and building the life, and it's so sad. And also, I'm going to be so fabulous here. And it's going to be so fun. It is, once I stop feeling like I'm going to throw up. Or cry, or both. And I'm gonna, I'm gonna wake up every day and I'm gonna say, Ferga, it's really beautiful that you saw the glass half full for all those years, Everyone says it, you're amazing and you're strong and you saw the glass half full and what a wonderful faculty for optimism you have proved you have. But now we are going to be 27 and we are going to speak Spanish and we are going to demand a full glass. We're going to demand a full glass. I don't want the glass half full anymore. I don't want to be half healthy, half a writer, half breathing, half sort of living my dream and living here, but functionally wheezing in a bed in Barcelona. I want to be living in Barcelona. Sometimes seeing the glass half full is brave, and sometimes it is cowardly because you're too maybe you don't think you deserve a full glass. maybe you don't think you're gonna get one. Maybe you're too scared to try. I was about to do some of the world's greatest journaling. My friend just texted me and was like, welcome back to the neighborhood, come over. We're getting Senegalese food. And you know what? That's probably a better thing to do. So I'm going to, look at me, good God. I'm gonna put myself together and hang out with my friends and not sit around Kafka style. This is water streaming into my little blue notebook. It's not really Kafka, it's more Mia Thermopolis. An infinitely more sophisticated cultural commentator. Anyway, let's go. I went to the Opera Carmen, excerpts of it which were being performed for free by the the Barcelona Opera House on the beach. It was the night of the full moon, la nit de la lluna plena. I'm going to see a free concert on the beach of Bizet's Carmen. I'm so excited. That was a moment I was like sitting on the beach. I was like listening to something that was beautiful. Oh my God, some of the music in that is just stunning. It's just so stunning. And we were sitting on the beach and I was drinking cava with my friends, and then this amazing, enormous, juicy, bright fluorescent pink moon just like emerged up over the sea. And I was just like goosebumps all over. I just remember sitting there thinking like, oh, I'm going to have to live here forever. It can be so hard to move from a new country. It's been a crucible. My health's been a nightmare. I'm going through a breakup. I am extremely sad. I always look it. I'm really experiencing the epic highs and the epic lows simultaneously. This summer, but I was on the beach and I was like, no, all of the choices I've made were right. This makes sense. This is where I want to be. This is the life I want to be living. This is so magical. I also, the night before that, went to see Todo Sobre Mi Madre in an open air cinema, and beforehand there was like singing and like flamenco music, and then they played the film and it was so gorgeous. And there's this scene in that film where the main character is arriving in Barcelona for the first time in 20 years, and there's this overhead shot of the city at dusk, all purple and full of lights, and then she's in her taxi and she's driving through. And it's so nostalgic, and there's this song playing. I just got so choked up. I mean, it was such a strange thing. I was sitting in this area, and the open air cinema is a little bit outside the city. It's in Barcelona, so there wasn't that many other, it was a lot of locals who were there. And I was with two friends who were locals, and when she arrives in Barcelona, about 10, maybe 15 minutes into the film, and there's that shot, that aerial shot of the city, my friends kissed each other. They're a couple. They had this really beautiful kiss. I just found the whole thing so moving. Everyone in the audience would have had this like moment of, it was such a romantic scene where this woman's coming back and like seeing this city that she migrated to in her youth, and how important it is to her, just having this like being hit by these waves of memories. And I was there, and I was like, I lived here in my youth. We're pushing. No, I am. At 27. I'm a baby. And everyone having this moment of like affection for the city. It was so beautiful and so magical. And I put that song on my playlist, but I had to remove it from my playlist. It's called like Tragabone or something. I had to remove it simply because every time I heard it, I just got so moved and choked up that I had to like sit down and like have a little cry. I heard someone say once, you should give a place like 2 years before you judge how you feel living there, which is a long time, or like a year and a half, like over a year. I feel like the first couple of months here, I felt very oil and water with the city. I felt really like a tourist, and I couldn't work out how to feel like I lived here because I felt so separate from everything and so isolated. And now I'm beginning to feel really more and more integrated. I'm beginning to feel like I have friendships here that are really strong, including with people who are from here, which make me feel, which is such a gift, because that makes me feel like I really am connected to like the culture and what people are thinking about and up to. And also, I was saying this to my mom on the phone yesterday. When I was in Dublin, for whatever reason, I felt like community and village and all of that kind of stuff, with the exception of my family, who I'm very close to and who are very villagey, like my extended family. But like with friends and stuff, it was very hard to like casually be in each other's lives. Like we'd meet up and we'd like really plan the meetup with most of my friends. I had a few who were kind of around, but like it was very hard to, I think a lot of people have this feeling in this era of like our generation, like this feeling of like, it's very hard to just have people who are like recurring cast members in the sitcom of your life. Like I feel like so many people are just like, we catch up, we get a drink every month or less, even every 6 weeks, and like update each other on our lives. And it's very like a conversation. It's like a whole update. It's like all the information we realize, because we haven't been there for the journey. It's very hard to like live with people, do life with people these days, because of like everyone's work schedule and no one living in the same neighborhood and everything. But here I'm starting to have like a lifestyle where people are like last week, almost all of the plans that came together were like planned the day of. People often text me and are just like, I'm near your house, step out for a coffee, because they know I work from home. Well, right now I'm working from home, meaning side hustling from home, but and or sleeping or trying to do exercises to make my lungs work, but they know I'm at home. I'm beginning to feel more and more like I have a life here that is like really rooted in like community and people, and that's making me feel so much more grounded. Like even when I came back here, the night I came back, so sad, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna journal, I'm gonna whatever. And then my friend called me and was like, wanna come over for dinner? We're gonna order takeout. Do you wanna, we're around, they live around the corner. And I was like, oh yeah. I don't have to like live my life completely alone all the time and then like have social outings that I have to be on for. I can literally just be like of an evening randomly having dinner with my friend or randomly having it alone whenever I want, but like it doesn't have to be like this whole thing. So that's kind of my update. Almodovar, Carmen, sadness, lungs. Oh my goodness, I'm just, oh, how very Iberian of me. Really living the dream in many ways. I was so afraid of the summer coming because I was so afraid of the heat. I thought I was just going to expire. I didn't know if I could. A lot of people like leave Barcelona for the summer because it's so intense. But so far, we're midway through July. Touch wood. I'm loving it. Last weekend was the Festa Mayor de Raval. It was just like magical. The neighborhood became like a labyrinth. There was like music in all these little streets, and there's so many Festa Mayors and little neighborhood festivals and parties and stuff all summer long, and it's just so magical. I am falling in love with the city in summer so much. Even though I am sweating, I'm enchanted. I am delirious. And next weekend is Pride, so that's really exciting. I'm falling in love with Barcelona, and I want to make videos of the journey this summer and also just my journey with Barcelona. I made a couple last month, but I'm privating them. They just weren't the vibe I wanted them to be. I think I was still a little bit too dissociated when I made those. From heartbreak, now we are going to be a bit more ourselves. We're back in our house. So back to Fergus summer of unemployment. I have been such a mess this year. Not entirely my fault. It's been bonkers, but I am a bit of a mess, and I want to just do a bit of a spring clean. Internally, externally, medically, spiritually, whatever. But not in like a really neurotic way. I want to have structure. I want to build stamina as well, because I think I've definitely been, because I've been sick so much this year, I've been a lot of this year like kind of rotting a bit, like not really having structure, not getting up at a certain time. I really want to just rebuild my stamina for structure and discipline and stuff, but also in a really beautiful way, and reframing my relationship with that a bit. I've learned a lot about reframing my relationship with that recently, which has been very useful. The place is a tip, apologies for that. It's Saturday and I've been back since Monday, so I haven't like had a lot of time to move in properly. Also, every time I try to start organizing the apartment, it's so sweaty. It's so hot at the moment. We're in a heat wave. I just get too hot and overwhelmed. I can't live like this. This is too chaotic. Today we are going to move into the apartment. I got myself an emotional support frappe. I'm throwing a bunch of stuff out. I've already cleared out a dresser. We're throwing things out. We're making space for new energy. We are clearing out as much as we can. This is the before picture. It's kind of a during picture, but whatever. I've also like really learned, especially in this moment when my body is so reactive and so easily, like if I make one wrong move in a day, it all kind of crashes. I've really learned that I can kind of hack myself by doing the day backwards. I think most of us have this idea that you should get up in the morning, start strong, be super productive, like American Psycho-esque in the morning with your like bonkers morning routine, and then kind of rest in the evening. Whereas I've been sort of flipping that. I've started this daily structure that's been really helping me, which is that I get up super early, like 7 a.m. or 6:30, because it's cool then. I drink a litre of water, because a lot of my routines revolve around not getting heat stroke. And then I do my cardiac exercises, and then I have breakfast and I read for like an hour. And that is because I've realized that if I start things really quickly in like a rush, my body like panics and goes like, oh, it's like my body's like, oh shit, she's gonna ask me to do a bunch of stuff today. I better shut this down right now, and something happens and I have to go to bed. But if I kind of trick myself into thinking the day is going to be restful, and then I gaslight my body and I trick it into being productive later on, it kind of works. Also, setting aside that time is really fun, because it was something that I've learned as well, is like to think of my day as like postures. That's gonna sound really weird, but like there's me in asleep, which is lying down, and then there's me doing my little exercises, and then there's me book in hand, and then there's me at laptop, and then there's me lying down again, and then there's me at laptop again. And if you train yourself, like in terms of habit building, both in terms of physical stamina and ability, but also just in terms of like building healthier habits for yourself, it really helps to set the posture in place and like put yourself in the places and practice putting yourself in the places, doing slightly unproductive things or like fun things, and then slowly switch out the actual activity that's happening in the posture. Like a friend of mine told me this, like a friend of a friend told himself Portuguese by getting up early in the morning and setting up this habit where he watched cartoons every day with breakfast in English, and then he like became really accustomed to doing that, started looking forward to doing it, like had a really positive association, like it was locked in. He was every single day, he was like making his breakfast, he was like, where's my cartoon? And then once it had become like a locked in habit to do that, he switched to cartoons in Portuguese. Like that's how we learned Portuguese basically. He did other stuff too, but like there were just habits like that, but it was the way he had tricked himself into having a positive association with the habit and being very comfortable in the habit before he made it productive. It sounds counterintuitive and it's very hard to do because if you're like me, you're kind of intense and you want to like do everything the hardest and most intense way right from the beginning. But one of my mantras this summer that I learned in therapy, is like, what would be the easiest way to do this? I know that sounds weird, but I think I am someone who, all right, let's chat. We're gonna dig in. I realized that so since I was 14, I had a very debilitating, horrific, chronic illness that makes one's life hell. This is a side note, but I think we have this culture now where like people get gaslit about their experiences, and so it's very comforting for someone to affirm your experience and be like, you do have that condition and it is shitty. But for me, what that just meant was like most of the resources, the thing they were doing, the narrative they were peddling was like, your life is going to be shitty. And I understand why that is comforting for people who have been gaslit for their whole lives, but for me it just made me very scared, I think, as a kid. Like having this condition I didn't know how to deal with, and then all the information about it, really having a focus on how terrible and torturous every aspect of my life was going to be and how I was going to lose everything, I think had a very intense effect on me. And I think what it made me do was be like, I'm going to be exceptional. The average person, the normal person who gets this condition has a horrible life. Then I will have a horrible life if I am normal about this. So I am going to be so intense. So even though on one level this condition was teaching me to be gentle with myself, in this other very nebulous way, it also meant that I felt completely panicked about being not gentle with myself. And I think it kind of gave me this like, I don't know, I think like this could be maybe applicable to other people. Like if you have a circumstance in your life that you know a lot of people don't survive, it makes you strive more. But I think one of the things that my brain kind of told me was like, the thing that will be different about you and other people is that you will be willing to do anything. So you will succeed because you will be willing to do everything the really hard way. And actually a lot of times in life, the hardest way is not like making things unnecessarily hard for yourself makes you less likely to succeed, not more likely. And I think in a weird way, this like constant fear of like, I am going to be like miserable and sick and not live and have no money and collapse and the whole like just completely fail and be destroyed unless I am super hard on myself and make myself sort of like the exception to the rule. Like I think that mindset actually holds me back a lot, like because I make everything so unreasonably, like, I don't know how about this. Like my approach, I feel like the last few years of like, to like learning a language, I'm going to study for hours every day. I'm going to be really intense about it. Or my approach to healing was like, I'm going to cut out all of these foods that like, first of all, most foods are, and second of all, like one's social life depends on consuming in public or shared settings at least twice a week, you know, like just these really radical changes. And sometimes they worked and sometimes in the short term they were the right move, but like I don't think it was really in my like lexicon to be like, what would be like a small teeny tiny shift that's completely plausible and doesn't seem like impossible to maintain, but that done consistently would move us an inch in the right direction. And that is how I need to start thinking. And I think it's a humility thing. This is something I've been thinking about a lot as well, that like I think healing and changing your life and like changing these habits that have been holding you back and finally deciding like, okay, there's certain things that I've not been able to shift or change about myself, my life. There's certain ways I've been stuck for a very long time and I'm ready to like really try to change them with like an adult. Now that I have an adult fully formed prefrontal cortex, like let's do this. I think the first step in that is like humility in a weird way, because I think if you expect yourself to be able to do and handle more than the average person, if you expect yourself to just be like this robot, and if you don't expect yourself to have the same like pitfalls as other people, to be magically more disciplined than everyone else, to be magically have less doubts and faults and less moments where you fall down and get back up again, you're setting yourself up for failure. I think I had this like weird moment where I just talk to myself and be like, I am functioning, and again, this isn't a judgment, I've been extremely sick, but like I'm functioning like less than an average person. So I need to stop trying to like treat myself like a robot and be like, if I was just as functioning as much as like a normal person, that would be a huge improvement. So why not, instead of like shooting for robot perfect girl, if we just shot for normal, that'd be nice. Anyway, so just go back to my morning routine for a sec. So I read for an hour, and then I do my first block of like work, which is either, when I say work, what I mean is the various projects I'm working on, which is writing. I'm doing a teeny tiny bit of content making for other people for like a little bit of money so that I can like eat. I am doing some fundraising work and trying to help some of my friends in Gaza, so that's something I do in that time. And then studying Spanish. Did I say that? Yeah. So those are the main things I do in that time. And I do that until, sometimes I do a Zoom Spanish class. And then I do that until 2. And then I have an enormous lunch, like comically big. And then I take a nap. I'm siestaing, I'm middiading. And then post siesta at 4 p.m. I have my first cup of coffee of the day. And this is how I've been hacking my body, by having my first cup of coffee at 4 p.m. And then I get an insane focus. There's something about, if I drink coffee in the morning, I like burn bright for an hour and then crash and the rest of my day is useless. But if I have my first coffee at 4 p.m. where on some level my brain is like, the day's already half over. She can't fuck me up that bad. And I've already kind of I'm already kind of calm, I'm already grounded, I've already accomplished something, I've already read for an hour, like I have a sort of a slow pace within me. Then I have a cup of coffee and I do a lot of writing in that time. I can write, if I have after my 4 p.m. coffee, I can write until like 9. And then I'm trying to have the discipline to stop at 8 or 9, even though sometimes my brain's whirring and I have so much more to say, and go for a walk. I haven't left the house all day. It's stiflingly hot, so I'm gonna go for a little walk. A little paseo in the barrio, and it's still bright, but it's not as hot then. And it's beautiful, and sometimes I see a friend, sometimes I call my mom, sometimes I just sort of walk with my own thoughts. And Monday to Friday I am replicating this every single day. I try to be in bed by like 11. We're just like a good little girl. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And then the weekends are for fiesta. So that's my funemployed writer / Spanish student routine. I'm really loving it. So far I'm able to replicate it. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. So I guess that's my update. So I guess now we just hang. You and I. And you can see me in action.